Jumping can be animated in several genres, and today I intend to prove that, starting with. I started my comedic jump with this front angle, then decided to scrap the whole thing and do it from the side. So we have a normal guy just standing there, and I'm more or less going to use this model for every genre. Now, to prepare for takeoff, I'm going to squash him down to the extreme with arms bent back. Then a huge stretch on the way up. I'm just getting the key poses for now and filling in the in-betweens later. At the peak of the jump, his legs are really curled up and the arms are kinda noodly. It's just a goofy looking pose, and that's exactly what we want. For the landing, I thought it'd be funny to have him turn into a pile of goo. Loyal viewers might realize this is reminiscent of the droplet video. What can I say, it's a reliable gag. So I did the goop thing and animated a bit of a splash. Now I gotta do all the in-between so it actually looks like a jump. Some of it's new drawings and some of it's just moving and manipulating things. After that, I can clean up the lines and colour everything in. I drew a big hole in the ground. It's kind of funny to have him jump over this big obstacle only to become mush after successfully landing. I think that worked out pretty well. Nice silly poses and timing, and you can't go wrong with turning into a puddle. Alright, let's move on to the next genre. The screen recording for the first half of this glitched out, so let me just explain what I did. You know that superhero landing pose? I started by sketching one of those, and also this mid-air Spider-Man looking stance. The idea here is to jump from a building in the back to the building in the foreground. So then I drew the normal standing pose, a crouch, and the full stretch on takeoff. After that, it's a whole lot of in-betweens and adjustments to get the jump looking right. On landing, I added a manual camera shake with a bunch of keyframes and tweens. It's looking pretty nice. So now it's time for cleanup. I went over each frame with some nice black lines. There are a few instances where I can just reuse and reposition a drawing though. I put in a midday blue sky gradient and coloured the buildings appropriately. The one in the back can blend into the background a little bit. I made our character orange to contrast the blues, and for the landing I added highlights so the final pose stands out. The other frames can just be orange. On landing I decided to also add a dust cloud to give it more oomph. I start with a vague, cloudy shape, expand it, and then break it into small pieces. After it's animated, I tween the opacity so it fades out. One last thing to sell the impact is of course an impact frame. I blacked everything out and traced scratchy diagonal white lines all over the character. Now I'm just making overall adjustments and adding clouds to the background. Pretty heroic. Yeah, I think I did the genre justice. Well, it wasn't a pun, but got the superhero landing, got the big dangerous roof gap. I think maybe the scale's a bit off. Perhaps the character should have been smaller in the background, or bigger in the front, but not bad. Let's ditch that and move on to genre number 3. For a fantasy jump, I wanted to involve some kind of magic. So I made this impossibly large gap to clear between two rocks. I'm using the same basic character design and starting pose as usual. The jump is going to be a slow, effortless glide, almost like it's low gravity. First I'm animating a limb motion loop, so I can take that graphic and move it for the actual jump. I made each limb a symbol that I'll rock back and forth with tweens, because I want a fluid motion. Each arm moves roughly with its opposite leg. I offset the timing just a little so it doesn't look robotic. Now I can animate the airtime portion. First a horizontal tween inside a symbol, then I animate that vertically. Next I'll do a bit of a crouch. Despite the force being driven by magic, it would look odd to have the jump just start out of nowhere. so I have a swing back and stretch out. The next thing is to transition smoothly into a landing. This is mostly tweaking the leg position and having the arms swing down then settle into place. The animation was looking solid, so I started on the background. Normally this is where I go over my rough animation with new lines, but I decided it looked good enough and recolored what I had. I thought this red went well with the background. Turned out to be time consuming anyway because of the way things were grouped, and I actually had to redraw some pieces. Now for some cool magic effects. I drew these squiggles following his feet and dissolving away. Then this fountainy spark loop that's attached to the feet the whole jump. I added glows to all of that, and this big radius of light that acts as a charge up for the takeoff. Then it's just me messing around trying to make everything look good. Alright, I like the colours in this one. Sort of monochromatic night landscape. The interesting thing about the jump is you can kind of rework it into just a low gravity space thing, and then it'd be sci-fi. May not be what you'd envision for fantasy. The character design might have something to do with that, but I wanted to stick with this basic blob guy for all of them, because we're just focusing on the jump. Obviously I added all the magic effects and things, but kind of an integral part of it. But I think it looks good, so there. Let's move on to jump number 4. We have quite a large gap again because the stakes are high, but this one's doable, especially since it's down. Our character's life depends on making this jump, and that'll be more apparent later on. As usual, I'm drawing a crouch position. He's really leaning forward because he has to put everything into this jump, and there's no run up. The outstretch is no different. Then for the mid-air pose, I did an actually video game looking shot. This whole thing is platformer video game-esque, but I'm sticking to my guns and calling it a thriller. He's fully stretched again just before landing. I put the idle standing graphic at the end, and I'm gonna have him do a roll to absorb the impact. But for now I'm trying to nail down the jump. So I drew my in-betweens and messed around, then decided to put all those jump frames in a symbol. Now they're all in the same place, and I can tween the whole thing to get a smooth arc and more methodical easing. With the jump done, I moved on to the roll. He bends down, plants his hands, and just does a quick roll before landing upright. Now I'm working on the takeoff a bit more, and I can do some colouring. I thought orange and white actually worked pretty well, so I ran with that. At this point I was satisfied with the jump, so I moved on to the environment. A bunch of blocks are lining up to crush him, which is why this jump has to happen. A camera pan was kinda necessary for this, and it adds to the energy, which is nice. I did the background in Photoshop this time to get that gritty feeling. The structures are vaguely rock-like, and we have a sunset and city in the back. There's also a nice parallax with the camera move. Quite thrilling for a brief period of time. I can see an argument that this is more of an action genre, but whatever it is, I executed it as intended, and I think it turned out pretty well. Okay, that is 4 genres of a jump sprung to life. Now let me know what your favorite was. Also, if you have different genres you want to see, or different things you want to see me animate genres of, let me know in the comments. But hope you enjoyed the video, hope you have a nice week, and see you soon.